Welcome to Two Gents, where two seasoned gents take on the hard truths of life, success, and responsibility. In a world where the rules don't bend for us, these gents believe in doing the work, owning the struggle, and inspiring others to take action. So, pull up a chair.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Two Gents Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ron Spikes, of this thing called Two Gents Podcast. Today, I just want to get out here because yesterday I got on here and we were talking about Jasmine Crockett. Today, I just want to kind of explain some of the things that's going on in the background. Kind of stayed up late last night. It kind of frustrated me, and when it frustrates me, I tend to stay up and do some research on my own. And as I was doing my research today, it's one of the things that I discovered today is that between last night and this morning, that there were some things in play that we didn't even know about. There were some things set in play for Jasmine Crockett, another battle that she was fighting, and that's what this whole thing is about. It's the battles that she had to fight that she couldn't see right in front of her. So today I'm gonna kind of break it down. And I'm gonna do it in a way, and I want you to get the impression when I do it. I want you to go out and listen to what I'm saying, how I present it, and go out and get your own process, your own thoughts, and come up with your own conclusions. Follow up with your own research. Don't just take my word for it, because that's the way we do it over here. Me, Byron Glass, and Pastor A.F. Riggins, and we'll be on Tuesday night with something else. But today, I'm on about Jasmine Crockett. If you can see the background, how did Talarico win? Texas, tough. All right, was he handpicked? I'm gonna tell you, and this is just my personal opinion. I don't care if most people don't like it, but I think he was handpicked. Some of the people within the Democratic Party didn't like Jasmine Crockett being the representative of who they stood for. They didn't give Jasmine her just credit. So what they did was they stacked the deck against her. And now I'm saying, and you hear it loud. I ain't gonna sit here and tell you no lies. You know, you can. And earlier today, I got to say it because I looked at Roland Martin's show earlier today, and when I looked at it, here's one of the things that I discovered. Yeah, you can look at a map, and a map is only as good as the information that's put into it. Yes, there's a lot of rural counties within the state of Texas, but just like in metropolitan areas, there's a lot of people in those rural counties that don't vote either. Don't waste their time to get involved in votes. And I know a lot of them. So I'm just sitting here, I'm telling you this because you need to look at the information that was put out. When I seen it this morning, it kind of threw me for a loop, especially after what I had went through. But then is one caveat within all of that I got from the show this morning. And I'm not going to tell you anything that I don't know or anything that I haven't checked out. You can go out and research it for yourself. The question that we should be asking ourselves this morning is simple. Did Jasmine Crockett ever truly stand a chance against James Talarico in 2026? The Texas state primary. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to break down a couple of things. And we ain't going to use no maps or anything like that. I'm going to break it down. And I presented I got a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to bring up to the screen. I'm going to let you be your own judge based on the information that's out there. In this episode, we're going to explore the Latino vote impact, TikTok's digital strategy. It's a guy by the name of Rocha. I don't want to butcher his name. That's a national influencer out there as far as campaigns. Notice what I say. He's a national influencer out there as far as campaigns. I'm going to say it one more time because, you know, in the military, we like to say things 3 times. So hopefully you absorb it. He's a national influence in the national campaigns. Been for a long time. Then we're going to get into the Lone Star Rising PAC. That's a PAC that was part of his campaign. The next thing that we're going to get into is missing staff lists. And y'all may not think that's important, but just bear with me for a little while. I'm going to break it all down where you can understand it. I ain't seen nobody else break it down because we get into our emotions. We get into our emotions like I did yesterday. I'm part of it. But see, when you step back from the table and you stop getting into your emotions, you want facts. You want to back it up with facts that's out there. National media boost. He had a faith-based message. We those things are something that we know that was in effect, that was out there. But I need you to kind of go with me, get on board. I'm gonna put you on board because I always say this: you might not like the messenger, you may not like how I deliver it, but here's somebody that's delivering it in a way where maybe you can understand it, that numbers make a difference. And I'm not going by numbers. I'm gonna let you make your own conclusions. But I love this dude, and I'm setting him up because I need to bring him to the stage because something that happened on this show got me fired up and got me listening to what actually is going on. So I want to share this with you real quick. I'm not going to build it up. I want to get to my PowerPoint presentation real quick because I don't want to waste your time. I want to put the fire out there. I want to light the fire in the pit and let you judge for yourself. But listen to this.
Of these counties in the rest of the state, you're not going to win the election because all of those votes matter. She's down 154,000 votes in the state. She's down 154,000. You cannot lose with that particular margin. So now what folks should be asking is, what were the difference between the two campaigns? What was the infrastructure? What were they doing? What was the GOTV efforts? Did you see signs and posters? What did you see? What was the investment? What was going on? Chuck Rocha, Democratic consultant who was with the Talarico campaign, dropped this video. Listen to what he said, what their strategy was.
And I've been in war rooms for 30 years on election night, watching results came in, and then last night was another crazy one. Before I head to the airport to get back to D.C., I need to tell you how this happened. It starts with the candidate. James Talarico is a special candidate, and I take nothing away from Jasmine Crockett, who ran an incredible race. Hat tip to her and her team. Hat tip to her and her team this morning. I love to see the unity and her coming together. We're going to win in November. We're going to beat the Republicans. But James Talarico ran the right kind of race at the right time. He also had an amazing staff. Seth, his manager, assembled a great crew, and they did an outstanding job. Gina Hinojosa, that's the Talarico Gina Hinojosa, and JT on the press team, that whole crew just worked day and night, and me getting to spend some time with them and see the energy on the ground really made some difference. But how did he win? He won because he showed up in communities. He ran advertising in those communities. He had an amazing field team with 28,000 volunteers, over 600 community events in just 8 weeks. They sent over 4 million peer-to-peer texts, like grassroots organizing combined with paid advertising in digital, TV, radio, around sporting events, and a robust Latino advertising campaign in Spanish, in English, but a lot of Spanish advertising, a lot of advertising in the Valley. I'm going to write more about this later, but there's a reason why James won last night, because he had the full effect of a great team, a great message. He's a great candidate, and he assembled the right folks to actually get it done. There's going to be a lot written about the Latino vote and the strength of the Latino vote, and are Latinos moving back to the left? Well, last night proved one thing for damn sure. They will move back for James Talarico if you show up and give him a hopeful message. I'll talk to y'all in a little bit. I'm going to go get on an airplane. I love you all. Thank you for all the love and all the text and all the things this morning. I'm super excited. Gosh damn, it never gets old. Y'all be good.
Let me tell you what you just heard, and maybe most of y'all didn't catch it. Before I get in my PowerPoint presentation, let me tell you what you just heard. I'm getting back on the plane, flying to DC. Those words going to resonate with you in just a little bit because he said it. And yesterday I showed a video. I want to get this out of the way too before I get into this. I showed a video of President Barack Obama and how he was praising James Talarico. I got to set the table so you can understand what I'm saying. So let me see if I can get it to the stage. So I don't have the staff to go out and ask. So I just asked the question: has President Obama ever met with James Talarico? And this was the answers that I got back. While the former President Obama has publicly praised and privately spoken with Texas Representative James Talarico. There is no public record of the two ever having met in person as of March 26th. That's key too. I'm gonna tell you the reason why that's key. Their relationship has primarily consisted of the following interactions: private telephone calls in August 25. Obama reported called Talarico to praise his leadership during the Texas redistricting maps and his media presence, specifically highlighting the interview Talarico did with Joe Rogan. That's going to play a part in the presentation. Don't get lost don't get lost here. But I need to justify the reason why what I played yesterday of President Obama praising this guy, giving him all these accolades and all the rest of that. It's a setup to a bigger picture. Let me just say that. Public praise. Obama spoke highly of Talarico during a podcast. I played it yesterday. Go back and see it. Describing him as a really talented young man with authenticity and integrity. That's key. That's key. Mentorships. He later came back and he described mentorships. Reports in that Obama has included Talarico in his efforts to coach the next generation of Democratic leaders, which has involved phone calls, small group sessions, emerging voices, and Talarico's participation in the physical meetings was not specifically detailed. Following his primary victory in 2026, Talarico has frequently been compared to Obama by political commentaries. Let me just say this. I need you to follow me here. I asked the question yesterday, how come people didn't get behind Jasmine Crockett? And I was clear on that. Not just everyday people, but people that were in key positions. Hakeem Jeffries, and I showed you a 34-second video of Hakeem Jeffries. That's how much he got, 34 seconds. And he only answered it because Jasmine Crockett, somebody asked him a question from the news media, and he answered it. He answered it truthfully. You know, President Obama, if this is true, what kind of questions does that point to the Democratic Party? It kind of paints a picture that the Democratic Party had already picked their candidate before Jasmine ever got a chance. So if you're fighting on all fronts, based on a little bit of information that a little old person from Texas got, you're gonna lose the battle. See, I don't have a staff of people going out doing this research. I have to cut ties from something that I really like doing. I didn't even send out. Normally, I'm sending out text messages telling people to have a good day. How go on with your day, and how you should pray to the Lord and all the rest of that. I didn't get a chance to do that this morning. You know why? Because I was consumed by what I'm doing right now. I was consumed by what I'm doing. And I want y'all to look at this guy. You've seen him in video, but I want you to get a good picture of who this guy is. You see him? I want you to get a great picture of who he is, because it ties back to everything that I'm about to present. And I'm going to try to, even every once in a while, he puts on a cowboy hat and let you know. He's meaning business. He's in the right places at the right time. But what I just got through showing you, I want to add one more thing, because I need to qualify what I'm saying with proof, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. I want to qualify, because I need you to understand who this guy is. I need you to understand who he is before I go into my presentation. I need you to understand who
don't know Rob Reiner was a staunch Democrat. Most of America don't know his political leanings. And if you do, you are staunchly in one corner or the other because you're on Twitter too much like me. Yeah. Most of America remember Rob Reiner like this. Meathead, the guy that was on Archie Bunker, an amazing producer of movies, people who told Americana stories. And then they wake up this morning, Democrat, Republican, or Independent. That's why you see these Republicans backpedaling, because they know it is horrible, and it's a horrible visual, and it's just horrible for the leader-in-chief, like you said, brother, to say this thing.
National media channels, National media channels. That's what I want you to grab from this. National. And I say national. I didn't say local. I didn't say each different state that's around. I say national. Remember that word, national. When we get into it, because I got to get you centered around this, around what's going on. What happened in this campaign?
You're doing my race, and I'm running against the guy who's straight up MAGA and just parrots the president on everything. What's your advice about how to win?
You talk about promises they keep telling you about, but not doing. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. This is about rooting back into working class values where we all are. And if you're a Republican, you're welcome over here with this Democrat. If you're an independent, you're welcome over here. Let's talk about how bad all of our jobs suck and how bad the government needs to get out of our way and how we should be protecting working families. And guess what? I'll agree with Donald Trump that we should bring manufacturing back. Matter of fact, I'll agree with him that big corporations should be buying.
Now, what that was is him talking on the national media stage, him establishing himself, who he is, and he does it, and he's been in the state of Texas doing this campaign. If you notice when I say, notice what he says, I'm flying back out of here to go to D.C. I didn't say it. I'm flying back out of here to go to D.C. Key point. Key point. And as I add this next thing to the stage, you're going to see less of me unless I can put it up where I can talk in the corner. But you're going to see less of me as I make this presentation because it's important. I didn't need myself. I just needed to put this on the stage. That's all. And I'm going to give it the full stage while we go through this. The pattern behind the rise. This is just a breakdown of everything that's happened that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to listen to. Maybe you haven't had it in front of you, but you can throw a map up there of the state of Texas. You can show all the rural areas and explain it any kind of way that you want to. But let's look at it a little deeper. The question behind the question. As we walk through this, I want you to look at this thing that's on the stage. This story is about influence, infrastructure, unseen hands shaping modern campaigns to core. How did Talarico, and this is a major question you should be asking yourself, how did James Talarico, a young state representative, rise to become the Democratic nominee for the Senate? Now, wait a minute. The real reason why that's important is because, think about it. Jasmine Crockett was on a national level. Everybody knew who Jasmine Crockett was. She was in the Congress of the United States of America. James Talarico was down in Texas. Early, you didn't hear any, and this is key, because you didn't really hear anything about James Talarico running for the Senate until Jasmine Crockett got involved in it. Then it went to a national level. It was a local state of Texas within the confines of Texas that James Talarico was running. But when Jasmine got involved in it, even though she got in it late, all of a sudden all of a sudden people from the national media paying attention. Her own party they're making moves behind the scenes and all the rest of this that's going on. But we're going to go to the next slide because I don't necessarily need you to listen to my message. I just need you to listen to the research behind it. The approach. I'm not here to tell you. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to lay out the facts for you to connect the dots and let you decide what the pattern looks like. I'm going to be upfront and honest with you. That's what we always try to do. I'm going to tell you, I'm setting the stage for what we know on the surface. Talarico's campaign is centered around faith, family, jobs, economics. He also spoke the language of the working people in church communities, hope, and outcome. But take all of what I just said and put it into a statewide message. Only a statewide message. It's good. The only reason why his messages elevated was because of the person that was running against him. And that's not even the thing, that's not even the topic I'm trying to get to. But he defeated Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett in a tight race and high energy primary. Yeah, it was that. It was that not because of James Talarico. It was because of Jasmine Crockett, what she brought to the table. It's because she brought the attention to who her opponent was. Don't fool yourself. If he would have just ran in that race by himself, nobody would. As a matter of fact, the third guy that probably got about 10% of the vote probably would have been ranking as high as he was. But only because Jasmine Crockett decided to go into the election that this turned into where they figured that, hey, we got to pull something together. I don't want to give away. Setting the stage for what we know. What we know on the surface. Talarico's campaign centered around family, faith, family, jobs, economics. That's all he's centered around. The surface, but if you look at the surface of everything that we just got to explain it, that isn't the whole story. It doesn't look like it's not like that. And I'm not going to I'm going to continue moving through this because I don't want to spend long because I've been told that I take too long to get to the point. So I'm going to try to get you where I'm going. The Latino vote was to decide what turned out to be the deciding factor. Every major outlet out there is saying, yeah, the Latino vote is what powered Talarico's victory in counting 60% plus Latino. He won nearly 2/3 of the vote. He invested in Spanish language aids, soccer broadcasts. I can't even say the word. You can read it. And Tejano Music Partnership. Who else are you going to get? Because I don't listen to Tejano music. I don't even watch soccer. I'm a football fan. But that doesn't make, because she didn't go to those places, a failure on her part. It really doesn't. TikTok influencers. Roland Martin is an influencer. 14 million followers. Notice what 14 million followers. That's key too. This is not a small scale Texas campaign. That's key. That's another one. This is not a small scale Texas campaign. This is a presidential level culture outreach. Nobody, and I'm gonna say it, and somebody can dispute it. Nobody has had the attention that was put into this race between Jasmine Crockett and Talarico. If you don't believe me, check it out for yourself. Chuck Rocha's shadow over the whole thing that's going on. Go out there and Google his background. Yeah, he's a national strategist. Is this a national? Was this a national race? Was this a place where the national media it's going to make a difference for the national media, or is it a place where you elect a representative for the state of Texas to go up and represent their district? I'm just asking, because you need to ask that question to yourself. Why is a national strategist appears to be a part of this? Somebody had to tell him, you know what? I need you to go down there and I need you to support Talarico. Somebody, somewhere, groups, and we didn't heard about all these silent meetings taking place. I'm bringing myself to the stage because I need you to see me. We didn't heard about all these silent meetings taking place in different places. The young lady said it yesterday, New York City. Somebody flew Talarico out to New York City. All of a sudden, when he left, he was running for governor. But when he came back, he was running for a Senate seat. Now, I'm not disputing that part. I told you I'm going to let you make your own decisions, but I need you to make your decisions on what's on the facts that's out there. I'm going back to this report. This guy is key in all that Talarico did. This guy is the key to everything that happened. He's a national media campaignist. He has it's a PAC that he supports, but money funnels into these campaigns different ways. See, they give a lot of credit to Talarico for making $5, $10, $15 from different people around the, but this guy don't do $5, $10, $15 campaigns. He does big money. He does big money. He sets people up to be in a position, and I don't have nothing against him. That's his job. Just like it's our job to go out and do the research and find out who he is. And why was he involved in this little old campaign for the senator of the state of Texas? Why was he so involved in this? You have to pause and know where that influence is coming from. You have to pause and know where that influence is coming from. People show this guy, they invite him on the show to give him advice on every type of campaign that's going on. And if you notice what he said when Roland Martin on this show, he say, I got to get on the airplane, I got to go back to D.C. Think about how many counties there are across the whole, how many districts there are across the whole United States of America where people are running for the Senate. How many of them did he personally get involved with? I'm just throwing a question out there. See, we worried about maps and we worried about numbers. We worried about this. We know it's more Hispanics in the state of Texas. We don't have to dispute that. But not all of them are voting. I'm just telling you, not all of them are voting. Just like blacks. Not all of us are voting. So it's some spewing, it's some outliners in that map that you show of all that green area and the blue areas, because the blue areas represents a lot of the voters. Majority of the people that's in the state of Texas, it represents those areas. So when you show this map, I don't want to bring it up. I want to keep on going because I want to get out of here. When you put together a machine, a digital machine to run against a lady that should have had national recognition, should have been known by everybody that was there. Talarico didn't just run a campaign, he ran a digital movement. He became one of the most followed statewide candidates on TikTok. Who owns TikTok? I'm just throwing stuff out there. Maybe you go out and make your own decisions. His faith-based message went viral as Stephen Colbert's segment boosted his national profile. I'm not making up stuff. I'm telling you stuff, and it's in black and white right here. You can read it. He raised $2.5 million in 24 hours after an episode ran. This level of content success, listen to what it says right here so you can tie into it. This level of digital success requires content strategy, editing teams, analytics, messaging, message testing, influence coordinator. None of them was publicly known by anybody. You don't know any of these people that did all of this stuff for him. You do know one person, and you found out after the campaign that probably that he was a part of it. I wouldn't have found out who he was because I was going down a whole different path this morning till I start looking at who the guy was that Roland Martin had on the show that say they ran this excellent campaign. They did this, they did that. Why did they get involved with it here in Texas? That's the question that you should be asking yourself right now. Why did they get involved with it? They got involved with it because somewhere up the line, and I'm not calling no names, but if you ain't never met a guy, you don't know what he stood for, you don't know what he did, you don't know the bills and stuff that he brought to the table in the state of Texas, you wasn't physically here in the state of Texas, how can you make a decision based on his reputation? Based on a couple of appearances? Hell, he could have been a serial killer, a serial raper, or something like that. But he made a couple of appearances at key locations, at key places that he probably would have never got an opportunity to go to unless somebody would set him up to succeed. I'm just putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. You can do whatever you want. The missing staff that I told you about. What we don't see is who are these people? What digital firm did his work out there? No media consultants, no posters, no data teams, no messaging, no testing vendors. Go out there and look for yourself. See if you find any of that stuff. In a normal campaign, they have those things. Not you can't do that if you're just a state representative in the state of Texas. You don't have a budget for that. Listen to what I'm saying. You don't have a budget for a national media campaign to be run in your behalf, showing up on other channels, showing up everywhere in the state of Texas, doing all that. You do not have a budget for it. I don't care what you do. You're not getting it off of $5 and $10 people mailing in. And they just showed you that he got 2.5 in that day after he went on that show. So I'm not putting out information that you can't find out for yourself. For a statewide race, that is totally unusual. I done seen campaigns ran by Sylvester Turner. I done seen campaigns ran by Barbara Jordan. I done seen campaigns ran by Ann Richards. I done seen campaigns. I done seen even Governor Abbott's campaign here in the state of Texas. John Cornyn campaign. What didn't have this influence on it? It's not making any sense. I hope I'm reaching an audience where you can understand it's not making any sense. It's not making, when a campaign hides its operational structure, it does not mean that the structure isn't there. It means that the structure is off the books. It seems like everything that happens with this guy, Talarico, is off the books. Obama coming into the picture doing a podcast interview talking about how great he was and this and just building him up. That's how did he meet him? We need to ask the question, how did he meet Talarico? He had to have a connection to meet this particular guy down in the state of Texas. He had to know something was going on. And again, it points back to what I'm telling you. Jasmine Crockett was national. This guy was sitting in a state representative in the state of Texas, and where Jasmine Crockett came from. And Jasmine Crockett wasn't known in the state of Texas when she was running. She was known in Tarrant County. So help me understand, and I'm just doing simple stuff here, because somebody can go out there and figure this stuff out for themselves, but they won't take the time to do it unless somebody points it out for them and unless somebody steers them in the right direction. And the questions that you should be asking is simple. Simple. Not about no maps. Did Crockett ever stand a chance to win based on how this is set up? I don't care. I'm not here to dispute that James Talarico is not a good person, but he wasn't the person to make national media interest. He wasn't the person to be outside of his county or the state of Texas to get the kind of attention that he got without having anything on the books. Roland Martin brought it up today. You wasn't seeing signs in nobody's yard for Jasmine Crockett. You wasn't seeing the excitement, and he called out for a couple of places, Acres Homes. What is it? We got a couple of places, 3rd Ward, 5th Ward. He said he drove around. He just didn't see that media attention out there. Well, you don't see it if you're not getting the kind of money that you need to support. And I heard, Roland, I'm gonna dispute you because I'm gonna tell you something. If Jasmine would have got that boost in her campaign of $2.5 million overnight, like he got, you would have seen some signs out there. You would have seen all that action that you're looking for. When you're running on a tight budget and people are pulling at you all kind of ways, you have to go within the means that what that lady was trying to tell you, and I'm gonna say it, and I need you to listen. What she was trying to tell you without you asking her another question, she was going to explain to you that it's more to it than just showing the map and point out this guy that's a consultant, a national media consultant, on what he said about this campaign. It's some dirt up under there that should have been researched and understood. Don't just put out part of the story, put out the whole story. Let people make their own decisions. But this stuff, listen to what I'm saying. Go out there and find a digital firm that represented Talarico. Go out there and find media consultants that represented Talarico. Go out there and find posters. Go out there and find data teams. Go out there and find message testing vendors. I'm just saying, I ain't the one talking. I'm just saying, if you can find all that stuff and you got more staff than I do, but this is just from a person. I'm gonna continue moving, but I need you to look at what's going on, and I'm putting it in black and white because I need you not to look at pictures, not to look at what nobody else is trying to lead you, not to look at the maps. Ask yourself some real questions. The PAC network, the Lone Star Rising network, the one PAC played a major role in this, run by Texas operative Alexander Clark. Just telling you, just listen to what I'm saying. A national candidate that was already known nationally, and you got a guy that's in the state of Texas that wasn't known nationally, but all of a sudden he's showing up everywhere. Everywhere. They had to push this campaign. Somebody was pushing buttons, and we need to understand this. We go out and vote. Sometimes what we're voting for is what people put in front of us. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I'm going to tell you something that I hate about the Democratic Party. And I voted for Jasmine Crockett, and I supported a lot of Democrats down the line. If you go back in here, you'll see what I did. But I'm just saying, don't give me a candidate packaged like you want them. Let me pick my own candidate. Let me pick the person that I want to represent, that I want to represent me. Throw your force behind that person that's got the national media attention. So when they get out there and they're running, they got your support. But if you're not going to throw your support or your what's the word I'm looking for? If you're not going to throw your support behind that person, do what you say that decorum demands that you do. Stay out of the race until they get to the actual race that they got, that where everybody's voting one Democrat against a Republican. Stay out of it. No, this is tainted with hands everywhere in this race for Jasmine Crockett. I hope that even if y'all don't like me talking, you don't like the message that I'm delivering to you, I hope that somebody picks up on one or two points within this presentation that shows you that it was people's hands that tainted the pie. If you already got the plate set, and the only thing I got to do is sit down and eat, it's hard to win. It's hard for Jasmine to win. It's hard because this guy had stuff that's not on paper that gave him an advantage over her that she didn't have. Let me just go down this list. Funded by National Democrats aligned donors. Where did all that money come from? Where did it come from? No, we ain't breaking decorum because it's, doing this part, doing the preliminary. We got one Democrat, we got two Democrats running for the office. They're supposed to be on the same level. He's supposed to run on the same money that he was able to raise within that time that he ran. I want somebody to go back and see how much money in what county that he represents before he ran for his seat in the state, and tell me if the funds add up to what he has right now when he ran against Jasmine Crockett. That's the questions that should be asked. You want to go back and do some research? That's where you go. You go back and see what got him into office where he was a state representative. How much money got him into office? Not how much money he raised when Jasmine Crockett came into the campaign. That's the questions that should be asked. PACs often hire. He won't hire the guy that was on the national media. It won't show up on his books. The PACs get together and they send certain people into the campaign to influence it. Now, I don't know where this guy was flying out from. I'm only assuming that when he said I'm flying out back to DC, he wasn't in DC. Because that's all I could gather from it. But where was he? Media buyers. I heard this on the show the other day. You know, when on golly, Satellite Radio, I have to think of their name. But they say, you know, you have people, the lady say you have to go out and buy media. She was clear. She said, you don't just go out and go to certain places. They set up these media campaigns for people that's running national campaigns. You have to go out and get these people to go out and buy your media. If you don't buy into a media, they're gonna ask you, well, who's doing your media? Now I recommend these people to go do your media. And if you can't get with them, they don't support you. They don't support you. So that's stacked. That's a stacked debt. But that's on the national level. How did this guy get on a national level when I'm gonna go back to basic elementary. When he was just a state representative in the state of Texas. How did he get there? Somebody was making calls. Somebody wanted to make sure that he had a bigger audience to compete with Jasmine Crockett. And it didn't matter about the voters. They wasn't worried about the voters because if they could get him on the national stage, the voters within the state of Texas are going to see him out there and think that he's somebody. In other words, you got to build this person up to compete with Jasmine Crockett, which they build him up to compete with Jasmine Crockett on a national stage. He didn't do that on his own. His message wasn't as strong as it was when he was in the House, when he was in the state of Texas. He wasn't talking to everybody all over the world. He wasn't being invited to all these different shows. He wasn't doing none of that. So how did he get there? Questions we should be asking ourselves. Questions that should be answered. If you want to take this, don't get mad at people. Go out there and do your research. Listen to this last one. These firms do not appear on the candidate's paperwork. This sounds like whitewashing to me. And I ain't talking about the race. I'm talking about whitewashing everything that he has done. That means that you had people come in and they participated. They didn't want their name on paperwork, so they extended all their efforts into helping you become something that you wasn't. Something that you wasn't. You wasn't a national media person. So somebody made a decision that maybe they didn't like the way presentation, like I say myself. Maybe they didn't like the messenger. But see, when the message is clear and it's right in front of your face, you have to make a decision from what's right there in front of your face. You can't make a decision on anything else. See, Jasmine, she comes out and she makes points. And she follows points up with facts. And see, most people that do that, they can't follow other people. And if she represents you in court or anywhere else, she's got to represent the people from her district, as she has done so well in the national position that she was in. He, on the other hand, had to represent people from that voted him into a state office. I want you to pause and think about what I just got through saying, because it don't make sense. It's not making common sense. It's not working. The work is visible, but the workers are not there. The workers are not there. Have you noticed that all them campaign signs and all the rest of that shows up and everything say Talarico and where he appeared at and these different appearances they made all across the nation? And they talking about, oh, he had this. Even the guy was talking about his structure. Where were the workers? Where were the workers? Somewhere somebody paid people to do the work. Somewhere somebody paid people to structure the deal for him. It's structured. I can't point no fingers because I don't know the structure, because it ain't no proof out there in the paperwork. Just something for you to think about. The fake narrative message that traveled national. Notice what's being said. The faith narrative that a message that traveled national. How did it travel nationally? Who was this guy? Where did he come from? How did you know who this guy was out of everybody else who's out there? How many states we got? How many counties we got? So they go out there and just pick this guy and say, hey, we're gonna get we got things for him. We're gonna do, hey, y'all know we gotta get our packs together. We gotta get our we can't let this woman win. No. Because she's gonna call out some of the things that we're doing. She's gonna call out some facts. She's gonna hold the people accountable for the words that are coming out their mouth. No, we gotta run. We gotta change this narrative. No, we need somebody that's quiet, that we can carve. If they're square, we can carve them into a circle and put them into a peg and let them operate. But we don't need nobody that's an outlier, because outliers cause trouble. Outliers have their own independent thinking. Outliers can ask for people to represent the district that they came from. Outliers are people that want to make a difference. You can't, and I made this analogy yesterday, and I'm gonna make it again. We can make all the comments we want at church, barbershops, everywhere else, storefronts. We can make all these comments. I can make all these comments on YouTube and everywhere else. But unless I get behind that ballot box and vote, I don't have a voice. So, tying back to everything that I said, Barack Obama reportedly called him a really talented young man. Now, I've seen Barack Obama everywhere. But you know the thing that I failed to see? When this guy was a state representative, I didn't see Barack Obama in the state of Texas saying, hey, I got a friend named James Talarico down in Texas. I really like what he's doing. I didn't see that. I didn't even see Talarico and Obama together as of yet. And I showed you that thing that I put up. I ain't seen them in the same room together, sitting down on anywhere. But there was a meeting held in New York City. If you don't believe me, I'll play it another day. I'm not going to play it today because I want to kind of manage my time as I go through this, because that's what I need to manage my time. Joe Rogan told him he should run for president. Well, how can he run for president when he was slotted to run for governor in the state of Texas against Abbott, which would have made a whole bunch of sense? I'm just asking you because it's easy to come from being a governor to running for president. From what I understand, there was a group of them in the room discussing it, saying that he was going to run against Abbott and he was going to use the same campaign. But see, when you fear the narrative of a woman coming into that campaign, especially a woman with a voice, especially a woman that can back up everything that she says, when she stands up, she gets recognition. She doesn't act like a fish out of water. She doesn't flounder around. She comes straight out and she makes her point. And that's the thing that most people are afraid of. You don't need a Joe, what's his name, Featherman? That whatever you say, I think he's just a plant from the Republican Party. He should have got in the party that he wanted to be in the first time. Don't disrupt what's out there. This doesn't prove, but let me tell you something. All the stuff that I just got through saying, it doesn't prove anything. What it's saying is it doesn't prove coordination on the Democratic Party side, or the PAC's part side. It doesn't prove any of that. But it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. It's moving like it. It's building up to it. It's got everything that I'm put in black and white out there. Because you can't tell me. I'm gonna tell you. I can't tell you who's running in Rhode Island as a state representative in Rhode Island. I can't tell you who's running as a state representative in Washington. I can't tell you who's running as a state representative in California, Alaska. Call out any state, And if you can call a state representative for each one of them, more power to you. But I know majority of the Americans couldn't even call out who the state representative was. And I guarantee you, if you do one of them shows like what you see on TV, on late night TV, I can't think of his name, Jimmy Kimmel, where they go out in the street and they say, do you know who James Talarico is? No. If you went to the state of Austin, to the city of Austin, the city of Austin before all this other stuff happened and asked them, do you know who James Talarico is? I guarantee you wouldn't have found one person walking around Austin that could have told you who this person was. I don't have to make this stuff up. It's right in front of your face. I don't have to tie this stuff together. You should be able to see what I'm saying. It's kind of messed up how Jasmine got into this situation. It's kind of messed up how they put the pieces on the table before she ever got there. I need you to understand this part. A national strategist with history of building insurgent campaigns, a sophisticated Latino outreach strategy, a massive digital footprint, an influencer partnership, a Spanish language media saturation, a pact with national donors. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not making this stuff up. And together they all suggest that Talarico's rise was not just, all of that together suggested that Talarico's rise was not just grassroots. It wasn't those $5 and $10 that got him to the place where he's at. It wasn't those $5 and $10 that they trying to make this out to be. No. Some of the people at that national media, he basically told you on that national, when Roland laid it out and he said it. He said, I'm surprised at what they did. Yeah, I'm surprised at what they did too, because it's not making common sense. This was the best well-oiled machine you ever seen in history of how they got this guy from a state representative to national media everywhere. That is a big question that should be asked. How did that guy get there? Who was involved? Where's the documentation that showed that he had the ability to do that? Where's the documentation? Who pushed it? Who was it? It was a couple of positions that was asked for. Who were the people? It wasn't just those two people in the state of Texas that this guy named. Hell, you could take those two names and go to Washington, D.C. right now and ask 10 or 15 people on the streets of Washington, D.C., who are these people that set up James Talarico to succeed in the state of Texas? The two names that the national strategist called out on when he was finishing, when Roland just added that piece in. You can't get them you can't get that recognition. I'm not saying that listen to me carefully. It's some things that's just not adding up in this race that Jasmine Crockett won. And I say she had to fight on all fronts. She was fighting on all fronts. She did the best she could with what she had. She should have been the forerunner in everything if they didn't have all this influence going on behind the scenes to make sure that she didn't win. And some people sitting back saying, oh, that's just politics. You know, when you run and you have to be, no, that's not politics. That's a stacked deck. That's a stacked deck in your favor. And it's hard for somebody to compete with a stacked deck. The reason why I'm not back up on the screen, because I want to go through this. And so here's the question that I'm going to leave you with today. Did James Talarico win because he was the right messenger at the right moment? We all know that wasn't true. We know without a doubt. And if you don't believe me, go back and research it. Anybody that's listening to this podcast, did you know who James Talarico was when he was in the State House? Had you even heard of James Talarico when he was in the State House? So what made him so special? And you got to ask you a question. What made him so special that they had to basically build him up to compete with Jasmine Crockett. What made him so special? I'm just curious. You have to ask yourself that question. I didn't want to take too much of your time today. I want to get on here and point out a couple of key facts that you should ask yourself. And was it because the sophisticated national infrastructure quietly lifted him into a place where he would have never been, and Jasmine Crockett should have won this hands down? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I need you to look at this guy. I'm going to bring him back to the stage. I need you to look at him. Remember this picture? Oh, this one. Let me go here while I got it up. Texas primary, rural, small county votes cast expanded. It was 324 votes. 1,378,324 votes cast from the rural area. You mean to tell me everybody that voted in rural areas, none of them supported Jasmine Crockett? None of them? Not one of them? There wasn't no black people in that town? None of them? I'm just saying. None of them. That's what if you listen to the lady when she was talking to Roland this morning, that's what she was trying to point out. Some of the stuff don't make no sense. Some of the stuff is not making sense. To explain that chart, it was the bigger visual summary. The rural Texas, 249 counties, has 1,378 votes. Urban Texas, there's five major metros, 922 votes. Statewide total, 202.3 million votes were cast. What this tells you is that I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. That means that almost every person in a rural area voted. I don't care how many miles they had to travel. I don't care what the weather was like. I don't care what was going on, their employer or whatever. They voted. I'm just saying. They voted. Now, in the urban areas where you travel a shorter distance to vote, and they messed up the vote, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Some employers, and I'm going to say this so you can understand what I'm talking about. Some employers give you an hour off to go vote. Can they do that in rural areas? Can they? Or they just, everybody in rural areas just own everything they got. They can just go vote whenever they want to. I'm just putting the information out there. You like I say, this ain't about going one way or the other. This is about showing the information, putting it out there, and letting you choose for yourself. So what you're saying is, where I seen all those people in those lines voting in the area where I was, more people was in rural areas going to vote. More people in rural areas got a bigger message across. You know, I'm gonna give you an example of what I'm talking about so you can understand. I can break this down to what's going on. We have a gas station here in the state of Texas. It boasts the cleanest restrooms across America. They started expanding into other states. And I'm using this example to show you of how this doesn't make any sense of what's going on. Yeah, people come to Texas and they hit every last one of them coming down the state highways. It's called buckets. They hit every last one of them. But how? But before they expanded to other places, how did you know they existed? When buckets was just right down in the South Texas, how did you know it existed? How? Well, now everybody has a record because they have a reputation and they build places outside of the state of Texas. But this goes back to what I'm saying. Go back and do your research. And this is all I'm calling into question. Go back and do your research. When this guy was just in the state of Texas, in his little small area, did he have the capability to become a national media person? And what made him do that? Was it that they were so upset with who Jasmine was, and what she represented, and they didn't want her to represent the Democratic Party, or they wanted somebody just to conform to what was out there? See, I didn't heard people get out there and they get mad, and and I seen them on all everywhere. Let me do this before I get off the air. Let me just, because I need to do this. We got some people out there listening. I'm gonna do some comments and then I'm gonna get off the air. I'm not staying. I'm done. Call them names, LOL. Somebody laughing. Call them names, because you got to call out what's out there. You can't sit here and tell me that James Talarico was the person that he is now, because somebody had to build him up to meet Jasmine Crockett's standards. I'm going here. He's a Republican plant. I agree with that too. I'm just going down the comments. I didn't have time to run comments and try to build my story at the same time. I don't have nobody in the background. So we're going to go down to each one of these. He seems like it. You see what I'm saying? Crockett dropped the ball. No. You can't drop the ball when the election's already set up in another person's favor. You can't drop the ball when he has a national media influencer coming in and he has all these PACs, these quiet people working that don't want to leave their name on paperwork. No, you can't say that Crockett dropped the ball, because if she would have had it on the other side, she would have won. She already, just think about this. He was a candidate in a small little county or wherever he came from, area that he supported. Jasmine was already national. That's why I say Crockett didn't drop the ball. She thought she was running a fair race. She thought she was running a fair race where he went on his own credentials and she went on her credentials. But when you match the two credentials up against each other, who wins? In black and white. She does. On any other stage, she wins. Not this one. Also, Texas enacted election rules favoring Talarico. Trust me, I know. But see, the confusion came in when it was a close race. When Jasmine and him was almost at a close race, the confusion came in her county, where they knew when she was running, she was going to carry some votes. They already knew that. Anytime they have to extend the polling place past 2 hours, it's something wrong. Something in the milk that shouldn't have been there. It's standing out like a black speck in the milk. I don't blame you. It's a laughing matter, but as we listen to the facts, as we point out the facts, it's nothing that you can do. It's nothing that you can do. Let me keep on going. Look how many voters were turned away from voting stations on election day. GOP just wanted Jazz gone. Absolutely. But see, I got to tell the truth. See, the Republicans would want one thing, but when you got to deal with people within your own party that's setting you up for failure, no, they didn't come out and say it. But how did that guy go from being that small guy to competing with Jasmine Crockett? How? You got to ask yourself that question. Did you know? And I'm gonna tell you, and I want to ask people, because we got people listening all over. In the state of California, when Jasmine was in the House in the state of Texas, did you know who she was? In Washington, D.C., when she was in the House in the state, did you know who she was? In Florida, did you know who she was when she was a state representative in the state of Texas? No. So explain to me how this guy go from being a nobody to all of a sudden having all these influences, and it had to be somebody within his own party, because they needed to bring him out to measure up to Jasmine Crockett's. I'm just saying. And he had to be handpicked. I ain't gonna go into the rest of it, but I'm gonna say this. He had to be handpicked. He had to have certain people behind him. He had to be led into certain shows. And I'm not saying, listen, I want to be careful. I'm not saying that his message wasn't good, but I'm saying that his message, that his influence was too good. His influence and how he got into the places that he got into, how he opened the doors that he opened were too good for anybody. I'm still going. I'm still going. Let's see how Talarico does in the future. Now, let me tell you how bad a party can hate you. You put this man in this race, but here in the state of Texas, he may not get out of the vote. He's not going to get the vote. Just telling you. So what? All that energy that you put behind him, if he doesn't win the position in the state of Texas, somebody should be questioning. Somebody should have a lot of questions. Just saying. Hold on just a minute. Somebody's making a comment. I want to make sure I get it because I don't let anybody go. The Democratic Party put their money behind him. We can't say that. Only thing we can do is point out the facts. But we know that something ain't right. We know that something ain't right. I agree with you. I didn't know who Talarico was before the Senate primary. Tell me again. Say it. Common sense is sinking in. Common sense. But all of a sudden, he's everywhere. Jasmine Crockett had, and I tried to not involve her in here, but I can't say it correctly, but she made some comments on the national media scene that got her a little publicity. It was bad bill, bleach bond body, and all the rest of that. That comment got her national publicity. Where's Talarico? Other than he's running against Jasmine Crockett. Where's his sources? Suspect. Let me just say that. Albert seemed afraid of Crockett. We know that. You're absolutely right. Say it again, say it loud. I always say it loud. My military background has me saying it 3 times, but say it out loud, say it again. Abbott seemed afraid of Crockett. Who else seemed afraid of Crockett? The convicted criminal in the White House. The pedophile that's in the White House. They all were afraid of Crockett. But her own party was afraid of Crockett because they couldn't fit her into a hole. They couldn't fit her into a hole, a round hole. They had to they couldn't carve off the corners and make her fit. But they could do that with Talarico because he was a nobody. Don't nobody know who he is. Just a key point. I don't know what you were saying nope about, but I just got on the comments and I'm going to be out of the comments in just a minute. I held them till the end. He won because I didn't say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to even allow that to be said. Yeah, somebody hated her. It was her own party. Her own party didn't like the way she was. And again, I tell you, I'm going to say this before I get out of here. People north of the Mason-Dixie line in the Democratic Party have a different outlook than people south of the Mason-Dixie line. I want you to hear what I say. People north of the Mason-Dixie line have a different outlook than people south of the Mason-Dixie line. Might as well just put it out there. You can say what you want to say. I'm going to take this last comment and I'm going to get out of here. She was paid by AI Pack. I hear you, my sister. I hear you. But who paid? Who established who James Talarico was? Who got him elevated on the same level that she is? Who did all of that work? You're not. Can you tell me? Because if you can tell me real quick in the comments, because I got your comments up right now. If you can tell me who did that for Talarico, I guarantee you I'll sit here and wait. I got about 1 more minute, 2 minutes. I'll wait and let you tell me. because you know who she was paid by, but she was a national level candidate. She was a national candidate that was already in the national spotlight. So any PAC could have got behind her and supported her, but why didn't they? 64% of Latinos vote Talarico. I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing it, but how did they get to know who Talarico was? How? Before I leave, I want to say this one last thing. I want to go out and see how many people voted, how many Latinos voted for him as a state representative, and compared it to how many Latinos voted for him when he started running against Jasmine Crockett. I just want to know. Somebody out there go do the research, and when we come back on here, we come on every Tuesday at 7:30. Come join my panel hosts. We got Byron Glass out of the state of Louisiana. We got Reverend A.F. Riggins, and we'll be glad to entertain any questions that you have on 7:30. We start off with a format. We start off with where we going, but by the time it's over with, we'll talk about anything that anybody brings up. Thanks for your comments. I really appreciate it. I hope I just put it in black and white. That was my objective, to put it in black and white and let you make your own decisions. If you can make your own decisions, I done did my job. And if you want to go out there and research it, if you're an influencer or you're upset and you're mad and you don't have nothing but time on your hands, go out there and pull up some of the parts in this video and find out the answers to them. And when you find out, let me know. Come in the comment section. Peace. I'm going to go out on that peace note, but I'm going to tell you like this, and we need to understand this. If the Republicans get the House and the Senate again, as Byron Glass said, and I want to say it right for Pastor Riggins this time, we need to put our foot on the pedal and not let up. We need to put our foot on the pedal, on the gas pedal, and not let up, because the midterm elections are right around the corner. Byron Glass said, if we don't win the House or the Senate during the midterm elections coming up, we might as well just call this thing a democracy over with. I haven't even talked about the war today. I haven't said anything else outside of this. So I want you to go out and do your own research. Go back. It's recorded. You can go out there and do it for yourself. Roland Martin, you know I love you, brother. I just want to tell you that I just had to point out some stuff that was out there. And I know you detail in your answers. I know you do a lot of research. You have a lot of people behind the scenes that do research for you, and you come out with facts. But it's something that's not right about how this candidate came from a small place and became a national media representative. And that's all I want to point out. Hey, y'all have a good one. It's been nice. It's been great. And as I always say, and some of y'all might be offended, but I always say, thank God, thank God, thank God. Because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. Y'all take care. Bye.